This is a very weird basketball shoe. I had extremely high expectations because the LeBron Next Gen was an amazing performer. Then I saw the tech that was used in the shoe and my expectations kind of went down the drain because I was really disappointed that they removed the air zoom unit that they had in the heel, because I'm a big fan of comfortable and nice heel cushioning setups. Then I got the shoe in hand. I really liked the design, I liked the look of it. They felt good on foot, and all of that just makes them a very weird combination. They changed up a few things, so let's get straight into it and talk about the Nike LeBron NXT GENISUS. They retail for $150. I got this pair from Kicks. You can find an affiliate link in the description box down below. And with that out of the way, let's start with the traction performance. This pattern looks way different compared to what we saw on the original LeBron Next Gen. And I thought it looked familiar, and I actually didn't make the connection because I never had the shoe, but a follower pointed out that it's the same pattern used on the Zoom Generation 1, so kind of LeBron's first signature shoe with Nike. And it's kind of weird because this shoe is supposed to be for the next generation, and then they just go way back and give us a throwback traction setup. So it just adds to the weird theme of this shoe. And does it perform well on court? Most definitely. It worked very well on the indoor court I tried it on, and because it's so aggressive and the grooves are so thick, the outsole or the traction pattern is definitely also a good option for outdoors. Even if you're playing on concrete courts, I think they should hold up well, as the rubber is also very thick and very aggressive. And of course, if you've had the Zoom Generation, you'll know just how these perform. I also didn't really notice any dust pickup, so that's a very welcome change and a very welcome surprise. So traction performance was really very good. I didn't really slip out of it at all, and I felt safe and secure, so I didn't notice like any insecurities or instabilities or it not being as consistent. They would consistently stop very well. Now let's go to the cushioning setup, which is like the most controversial topic about this shoe and what I just really don't like about it. We still have this Zoom turbo unit in the forefoot, which is great, which was very nice on the LeBron 20, which was nice on the Next Gen, which was nice on the 21, and which is still nice on the LeBron 22. Even though you can see it here in the background, I'm not a big fan of this shoe because it's just way too clunky. So that was also kind of my expectation for this pair, that maybe this is going to be the LeBron 22 or like the replacement for it, because I did hoop a lot in the 20s. I did hoop very much in the 21s. If you've seen my most worn shoes video of last year, you know that 21s are almost all the way up there. And I just didn't like the feel of the 22s. They were too heavy, they were a little bit too bulky, and I thought maybe these could replace them. But then I learned that they don't have this air zoom unit in the heel anymore, so we just have a foam setup in the heel. Now when I tried them on for the first time, it still felt relatively comfortable and I couldn't really notice that there was no zoom air here in the heel. But when I took them to the court, I could definitely notice that a little bit of comfort was missing in the heel, especially compared to other shoes that I like to play in, like the Nike Book 1, which is my current favorite. I just noticed on heavy heel landings and like just running up and down the court, whenever I was on my heel, I could notice that I would prefer to have some more cushioning in there. The foam does a good job, but it just doesn't offer as much impact protection as I personally need. I also sometimes struggle with Achilles pain, so that's why I like to have a nice and comfy heel. And the forefoot is actually still very nice, gives you a nice and bouncy feel. You can feel the Zoom Turbo unit almost right out of the box, so that's a very nice setup. And I'm just sad that they changed up the heel. It just kind of makes no sense for me. They do remind me overall, just the feel of the shoe, a tiny little bit of something like the Nike Kyrie 7, because they're also a little bit higher, definitely not a low top. I classify these as a mid to high top. And we also have this Zoom Turbo unit in the forefoot with no specific cushioning setup in the heel, just foam. So that's why they reminded me a little bit of the Kyrie 7. These also have good lockdown, which we're going to talk about next. But just for the cushioning setup, again, it's weird that they're supposed to be for the next generation. So maybe I would understand cutting down on the Zoom technology or the Zoom Air in the heel, because you'd think the younger players or the next generation would prefer something very bouncy in the forefoot, and they maybe don't need that heel cushioning as much as of right now because they're still young. Knees are still young, so they don't have pain or like anything like that. But then, as I said before, they kind of still make the shoe more bulky also compared to the first Next Gen. Sadly, I don't have my pair anymore. I sold it to a teammate. So I can give you like a side-by-side comparison, but I'll put some clips of them on screen. So they look bulkier, they feel also a tiny little bit bulkier, which again makes them kind of more suitable for older players or for players who like more support and maybe don't need that bounciness or that cushioning setup in the forefoot as much. And then they remove the heel zoom unit, so it's just kind of a weird basketball shoe. I know I said that a lot already, but that's just how I feel about the shoe. If we're talking about the support, that's something I definitely like and enjoyed about them. We have a carbon fiber TPU shank plate. Very, very nice that they kept that in there. If we look at the forefoot flex, you can see they only flex here in the toe area. The midfoot is really nice and stable, just how it's supposed to be in my personal opinion, how I like it. And also if we try to flex them side by side, they almost don't flex, and I actually have to apply a lot of force because that carbon plate really does a good job for torsional support, and in general also gives you a nice little spring back if you're running up and down the court. Lacing system also does a good job. You feel locked in and secure at all times. We also have a nice and rigid heel counter, actually two, an internal and one on the exterior. You can see it out here. It's also a little bit thicker than on the original next gen, and the one on the interior also feels very thick and sturdy, and also just the heel goes up a little bit higher than on the original next gen. We don't really have an outrigger or anything like that, but the materials also have a couple of layers in there, so your foot really is contained very, very well by this shoe. I mentioned the materials already, so let's get into that. They don't use leather, it's all synthetic. It's like a mesh and a woven kind of synthetic upper, which is very soft right out of the box, especially in the forefoot. You'd actually think that it has a good amount of ventilation or of breathability, especially because we have this little cutout here on the side, where I thought, well, this is going to be a very well ventilated shoe, similar to the OG next gen, which had less layers of material, but it's similar fabric or similar material, just the consistency of it and the feel of it. These are softer and way less breathable. They are actually one of the least breathable shoes I've tried, and I usually don't notice that as much, and I don't have issues with it, but on this pair I just noticed whenever I put them off after practicing in them, my feet were feeling so damn hot. So it's really a heat trap in there. And if you've been following Foot Dr. Zach, you can see he also does the breathability test, and he said the same thing, heat trap. Something I forgot to mention about the materials, we have this little synthetic leather overlay here in the forefoot, which is kind of nice if you're a toe dragger. It won't do as much, and the reason why I'm not sure, or not 100% sure, that these will be great outdoors is, for one, they're missing the heel zoom unit, and the second thing is the materials are not very breathable, or at least they don't look durable, my bad. At least they don't look and feel very durable, because as you can see, there's already some little flimsiness going on here and some cords sticking out of the material, if that makes sense. Sorry, not 100% sure how to explain it, but I just think, especially if you play on a concrete court, that this material right here is just going to wear down relatively quickly. And yes, there's multiple layers, but a concrete court will just cut through that very easily. So I'm not 100% sure if you should take these outdoors. Something I like a lot about the materials is that they kept the Nike sphere in the heel. It's a very, very nice memory foam-like setup, and it just adds great comfort, especially for me, as I struggle with Achilles problems. Very important that the heel is nice and soft, and it really is a nice feeling. Also kind of conforms to your fit, so to your foot, and gives you a custom fit. The insole is nothing special, just a regular foam insole, so you can definitely switch that one out. And that's it for the materials already. The tongue doesn't have as much padding, just like on the regular or like the OG next gen. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the fit, and in my opinion, these are actually wide foot friendly because the materials are so soft, and the shape of it is actually also wider than usual for Nike basketball shoes. I see that the camera can't focus so well right now, but I think you get the point. I have a very wide midfoot, and I always go up a full size, which is kind of my true size because it can't wear anything smaller. Just lengthwise, a size 13 would fit me better. These are a 14 US, and they fit me very, very well, especially the width. Very nice and comfortable. I didn't have any pain while breaking them in. With that being said, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and also subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss any further reviews. Also, comment your thoughts on the LEBRON NXXT GENISUS. Have you played in them already? Were you planning to cop them? Just let me know down below, and also let me know if there's any other pairs you want to see me do a review on. Have a good one, and see you next time.